On a stormy night, in an old isolated house, Lucy found herself alone. Her friends had gone away for the weekend, and she had volunteered to house sit for them. The rain outside drummed relentlessly against the windows, while the aged house creaked and groaned in response. Lucy tried to focus on reading, but the unsettling atmosphere made it hard to concentrate. It was a night that begged for company, and the isolation gnawed at her nerves. As the storm intensified, Lucy became acutely aware of the disconcerting whispers that seemed to emanate from the very walls. They were unintelligible, eerie, and filled the air with an undeniable sense of dread. She tried to dismiss them as mere products of her imagination, but the feeling of being watched persisted. Desperate to distract herself, Lucy turned on the television, only to be greeted by a screen filled with static and distorted, contorted faces. She quickly powered it off, her heart pounding. In the dim light, a child's laughter caught her attention. She froze, for there were no children around. The laughter seemed to beckon her to investigate. Lucy followed the sound, and it led her to an unused room, a room she didn't even know existed. The door to the room stood slightly ajar. Upon pushing it open, she was met with a musty, eerie scent. The room revealed itself as a neglected nursery. Broken toys and a dusty, forlorn teddy bear lay on the floor. The room was filled with ghostly echoes of children's laughter, the same laughter she had heard earlier. Lucy felt a cold breath on her neck but saw no one there. The room grew increasingly icy, and her breath formed misty puffs in the frigid air. The whispers she had heard earlier turned into sinister chants, urging her to stay, to join the forgotten souls trapped within. With trembling hands, Lucy rushed to the front door in an attempt to escape, but it wouldn't budge. She was trapped. The sinister whispers and laughter closed in around her as the storm's fury reached its peak. Lucy moved from room to room, each one revealing a new horror. In the dim candlelight, she stumbled upon a gallery of old photographs. The faces in the pictures twisted into grotesque, nightmarish expressions, as though they were trapped in eternal suffering. In her search for a way out, Lucy discovered a diary filled with the deranged ramblings of a previous occupant who had suffered a similar fate. The diary spoke of an evil presence within the house, a malevolent force that fed on the souls of those trapped within. The writer had attempted to escape, but had ultimately succumbed to the house's dark power. As the storm outside howled and the whispers inside the house became a cacophony of screams, Lucy finally found a hidden key and rushed to unlock the front door. It creaked open, and icy wind rushed in, extinguishing her candle. She stumbled out into the storm, gasping for breath. As she left, the house seemed to howl in frustration, its dark secrets and sinister power left unsated. Lucy had escaped the clutches of a malevolent force that thrived on solitude and despair. The house stood in silence, waiting for its next victim to be lured into its malevolent embrace, alone in the storm. The storm outside gradually subsided, and the old house stood in eerie silence, as if it was sulking, deprived of its prey. The whispers, which had tormented Lucy, faded into a haunting silence, and the malevolent presence within the house seemed to recede into the shadows. Outside, Lucy's breath formed misty puffs in the cold air, and her heart slowly returned to a regular rhythm. She stood there, rain-soaked, staring back at the sinister house. It felt as though the very walls were watching her, as if it longed for her return. Lucy's steps were hesitant as she moved away from the house. The oppressive feeling continued to lift, and the air felt less charged with malevolence. The further she distanced herself, the more she could breathe easily. She made her way to the road, where her friend's car was parked. With trembling hands, she unlocked it and got inside. The engine roared to life, and she sped away from the accursed house, its silhouette growing smaller in the rearview mirror. The rain continued to pour, but it felt like a cleansing, purifying force. The further Lucy drove, the more the terror and despair of that night receded. She could almost convince herself that it had all been a terrible dream. However, the memory of the haunting whispers, the chilling laughter, and the relentless attempts of the house to keep her imprisoned would never leave her. It would forever be a dark chapter in her life. a reminder that some places held secrets and malevolence far beyond human understanding. As she reached the safety and warmth of her own home, Lucy couldn't help but cast one final glance back at the dark, looming shape of the house in the distance. It stood there, a sinister sentinel, waiting for the next unsuspecting soul to fall into its trap. Lucy knew that the house's dark secrets would remain unspoken, its horrors concealed in the shadows, ready to torment anyone who dared to be alone in its presence during a stormy night. The evil within that house would never rest, and its malevolence would continue to claim the souls of those who ventured too close, alone and vulnerable in the night.